Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I am doing yet another Quest 2 focused video. This one will probably be the last one until whenever the big Link update comes out. I do want to get back to doing more racing focused videos after this, but I have been spending the last couple weeks testing and trying out all the various tweaks that are out there to squeeze out just some better graphical fidelity with the Quest 2 when using it over Link. And I thought I would do a quick video on this. I have been meaning to do it for a while, though work has been extremely busy and life and everything, you know how it goes. So I'm going to put it out now. There are plenty of videos out there and articles online explaining all this stuff. So if you've looked into it, nothing new here. But I thought I'd put one up as I am a sim racing focused channel, and most of the channels covering this stuff are just general VR channels, and some of the people coming across my channel may possibly have not seen that. So I'll put up what I've found, give my opinions on is it worth it, does it work, does it really make it look better, and go from there. So the first thing is, well, first I'll say there's kind of two ways to go about it right now. One with the just the current settings as they are, and one if you go through the public test channel on Oculus. There's an update there that gives you some more options. Though because of some apparent bugs with that update, you don't get to do everything that you can do if you're on the regular current version of the Link software. So really you gotta pick one or the other and choose which one you like better. But I'll get into exactly what the differences are as we go along here. But for either way, first thing I suggest you do, and that I find just makes the biggest difference, bar none, is go to your devices on the Oculus software, go to your Quest 2, click on the little arrow there. If you scroll down, you'll see graphics preference. Now, the Quest 2, at least for me, with my setup, which I should mention, is a Ryzen 5 3600 with a RTX 2070. So at least for me, the default was balanced. Now you can go in, select prioritize quality. That will up your resolution as it is. Then hit save and restart. It's going to restart the software. Now, if you have a lower end system, you can downgrade some of the fidelity a bit. If you go to the same section there and hit prioritize performance, it'll give you lower resolutions, but you may get better FPS out of it. For me, I hit prioritize quality. So I say do this first and foremost because for me, I feel just this alone made the biggest impact out of anything. I was coming from the Rift CV1, so just the baseline default settings Quest 2 was a big upgrade for me. Prioritize quality definitely made the most visible difference from the default Quest 2 to this. It just cleans some stuff up, especially in iRacing, which I play the most. Just clean some stuff up, some aliasing, shimmering and stuff all kind of went away with this. Now I guess it depends on your system and everything else, but for me, I found this made the biggest impact. From there though, you can push it, and you might be perfectly happy with just that, but you can push it a little further even still by going to your, well, wherever you have the Oculus software installed. So in my case, it's the C drive, program files, then to the Oculus folder, go to Support, then Oculus Diagnostics, and then you want to run the Oculus Debug tool. Now run it as an administrator. And now you get some more options here that you can push things a little bit further even. The three options here that will affect your Quest is the first one, pixels per display, pixel override. This is essentially super sampling. Then down here, you've got your two options specifically for Oculus Link. One is distortion curvature, which I believe in kind of the description here tells you basically will give you higher resolution or pixel count, like in the center. So one thing I noticed with the Quest 2 compared to my Rift was so ahead of me looked great, but if I just move my eyes around, like to look down at the relative box or anything else, anything at the center was quite just a lot more blurrier than the center. I'm used to it now, so I don't really change it much, but it is an option. With this here, you can set it to lower, well, low, as it says here, and it will kind of, the outside edges will be less blurry. But I tend to leave it on default, because I've just gotten used to it. And then the last thing here is encode resolution. So from everything I've read, if you want to try to push the full resolution of the Quest 2, you go to encode resolution width here, hit in 3664, and that will start they'll push out a higher resolution to your Quest. Now for it to take effect though, you do want to go to service, restart Oculus service, and it'll restart the software. You must do that. If you just type it in, it's not going to make any difference. So we restart the service there. The other thing that makes a big difference, and also a real big hit to your performance, depending on your system, is the pixel per display. So I've read that the resolution width doesn't make too much of a difference unless you up this. A lot of people say to use 1.2. I tend to use 1.2 often, though sometimes I'll knock it down to 1.1. 1.2 definitely starts pushing my system with the 2070. If you have a more powerful system, you'll get away with that fine. If you have a less powerful system, you might not be able to touch this at all. Or 1.1 may work. Like I said, for me, iRacing with the graphic settings I have set in game tends to usually run pretty well at 1.2. If I'm in a bigger race with a lot of cars around me, I might knock it down to 1.1. If it's a Assetto Corsa Competizione, I just won't touch it at all, because even at default settings, that game runs terribly, so I don't up any of this if I'm playing that. But basically, you put 1.2 in there. For that one, you do not need to restart it. Though keep in mind, if you restart your system at any point, the pixel override will not be saved, and you will have to enter it again. And then you can leave it there and go on your way. You can change the distortion curvature if you want. That's up to you. I believe if you put it on low, it will, again, take some more processing power. So that's more of a personal preference thing. And that's pretty much it in this first kind of way of upping things. I find once I set to quality in the preferences, the Oculus preferences, that these changes make a slight difference, but not a huge difference. like very, very little do I notice anything. I run it because it looks a little bit better, but don't expect that it's going to just make everything super clear like you're looking at a 1440p monitor or something. It's definitely not going to do that, but it does take the Quest 2, which is already quite good, and does make it that a little bit better. And I would have liked to have been able to take some screenshots or something to compare and show this, but I've been messing around with ways to do that. I cannot find for the life of me of a good way to get in-game video or screenshots to like to compare the different settings and what each one does. So if you know of a good way, please mention it in the comments. But everything I've tried, really just, it all comes out looking the same. Whether it's this, whether it's my CV1 plugged in, or anything else. I've even tried my best to get pictures from actually through the lenses, but it's so hard to have a camera lined up perfectly in the same spot every time that really the pictures aren't comparable because you're seeing them at different angles through a lens and everything else. So I gave up on trying that. So anyways, so option one is doing everything I just did here. This is the way I currently go with, and I'll move on the kind of the second option and why, and I'll explain as I go through that why I don't really go with that way. But moving on, so for the next one, you will need to go to the public test channel. So in Oculus software, go to settings, beta, then you got the public test channel option. You're going to hit yes, you do want to join it. Now, as soon as you do that, you are going to see that you start downloading an update. Oh, I should mention, I didn't show it, but before going into the public test channel, my Oculus software is on version 20. This update will bump it up to version 23. This isn't an officially released update. That's why it's the test channel, and that's why there's some bugs in it, which is the reasons I don't use this method. But you can try it out and see what you prefer. But this update is now downloading. This is going to take a few minutes to download and install. So rather than sitting here and everyone watching an update download, I am going to skip forward and be right back. Alright, and I'm back. Everything is finished installing, and you'll now see we are on the Oculus app version 23. In terms of this version, anything in the actual Oculus app is all pretty much the same. You see we still have the prioritized quality set there. The difference here comes in the debug tool, where you will now see that we have a new option. Encode bitrate is now been added. Now this basically allows you to up the bitrate that will send through the link cable. Default is apparently at 150. You can now raise this. I'm not sure what the highest is. I've read anything above 350 pretty much gets rid of all the compression artifacts, and that's essentially what this is for, as it is kind of a video signal being sent through. There is compression artifacts, and this kind of gets rid of that. Like I said, I've read anything above 350, pretty much there's no trace of them. Now, the issue with this and where the bug comes in is, well, that's all fine and good, is from what I've read, according to Upload VR, is the bug is the resolution width. Now, no matter what you put in here, it's actually rendering it at the default values. Seems to be a bug with this particular update. Again, this is the public test channel. It's not an official pushed out update, so it's kind of what they use it for, is to figure out bugs and everything, and there's one there. So really, you don't need, if you're going to go about it this way, you don't need to change that at all. Apparently, if you leave that at 0, the default is now slightly higher than it used to be, but if I went with 3664, like I do the other way, it'll go back to the old default, which is even slightly lower. So if you're going to go about this, leave it at 0, leave it at default. Distortion curvature, again, that's personal preferences. The pixel override, push whatever you can on your system. It's going to take some testing to figure out how far you can go and what just hurts your performance too much. And then encode bitrate, I've been running at 400. So the reason I don't go with this way is essentially the artifacting. I don't know if it's just me, if it's just not something I notice, or if it's really not that big of a deal when it comes to sim racing, because really that's all I've been using the Quest for. I've barely tried out anything outside of sim racing, so I don't know, maybe in other games the artifacting becomes more noticeable, or again, maybe it's just me. Everyone's got different tolerances to how much they notice something like frame rate or anything else, so maybe I just don't notice it, but I don't. So using this way, I really don't notice a difference when I up the bitrate. Whereas with the resolution width, it's not a huge difference, but it's a little bit of a difference. So I just go back to the regular, the version 20, where you don't have this and the bug isn't there. You can use the full resolution. So that's how I run it personally. But again, it's up to you to test, figure out which one you prefer. Even in the comments, let me know which one you prefer and why. If you notice the artifacting, or if, like me, you don't really notice that stuff. To me, I notice the resolution more than the artifacting, so I go back to the old way, like I said. Probably the next big update they push out, that this will all be there and the bug will be fixed, and then everything will be all good and you can have the best of both. Right now you can't, so it's one or the other, and like I said, I go with the resolution. So let me know what you think is better, down in the comments. The only other thing I want to mention in this video is one thing I figured out, just kind of tinkering with things, is so I'm using the official link cable, so I gotta plug it in the USB-C on my computer. I have two options. I got one on the back I/O of the motherboard, and I've got one on my graphics card. I originally had plugged it into the motherboard one and it worked and it was fine, so I left it there. If you go into devices, I believe, yeah, down here, USB test, it will run a test and tell you the speed of your USB connection. Mine was a 1.9. I believe it's gigabits. It comes out as. I could be wrong on that, but I think it is. And then one time I just decided I'll try to plug it into the video card and see how it goes. That ended up being a 2.8, so I've left it plugged in there since, as it's much quicker. So you might want to test out the different USB ports on your computer, because obviously having more bandwidth accessible through it, or faster, is like, I can't say I've seen a noticeable difference yet, but once they do push out the updates for 90 frames per second and stuff, it may make a difference. So you may want to test out your different USB ports. But for now, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I go back to the version 20 and up the width. till the next updates come out with hopefully the 90 frames per second. Really, again, none of this is making a giant change. It does make it look a bit better, but not hugely. But the 90 frames per second will definitely be a very nice upgrade when that comes out. So until that comes out, I am likely done with Quest 2 focused videos. Like I said, I want to get back to some racing focused stuff, and going to try to live stream a bit more coming up. Last couple times I've tried it, I've got some issue where my mic isn't playing through the stream for some reason. Although every meter and everything says the mic's picking up my voice, so I don't know what's going on with that, and I gotta figure that out. But I will be live streaming more in the future, doing more racing focused videos like I said. So if you want to join in on any of that or the streams, please subscribe, like this video, and again, leave comments down below on if you've tried any of these tweaks or anything and what you prefer. Until the big link update comes out, the only way to get 90 frames per second is through virtual desktop, which I have also been playing around with, but I run into too many hiccups with that to really like using it, and so I've kind of stopped and not likely to make a video on that. At least for the Sims I play, it's just not my best option. So anyways, I will leave it there, and see you all on the next video.